Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
That's the reaction of the Louisiana Ragin' Cajun faithful as Coach Billy Napier and his team clinched the university's first outright conference championship since 1970. It is 70 degrees outside at 8:04 in the morning. For NewsTalk 96.5 KPEL, I'm Ian Ozan. Louisiana beat Appalachian State 24-16 to win the 2021 Sun Belt Conference Championship. It's the first time since Louisiana has joined the Sun Belt Conference in 2001 that they've won the outright championship. For fans and players alike, it's a moment they'll never forget.
Oh, it's incredible. I've never been a part of something like this. Just rushing on the field, just that adrenaline just reminds me of playing sports in high school. It's just phenomenal. It's a night I'll never forget.
Justin Rivera is a member of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity. He and his other frat brothers went to Cajun Field not only to cheer on their university, but to thank Coach Billy Napier for what he's done for the football program. Their message was loud and clear. They brought a sign, a spray-painted bed sheet that said, "Thank you, Billy."
It's awesome. It's great to see him, take the next level and take the money and just be able to provide for his family. I'm super proud of him, proud for what this university has done for us.
Other fans and alumni have waited their entire lives for this moment. Jerry Hebert is one of them.
51 years in the making, man. I remember as a kid coming to these games. I remember years where we'd be lucky to win one or two games. And to see everything come full circle, to see what Billy Napier has built here, to be able to sit here in front of 31,000 fans and watch us win a conference championship that we haven't won in nearly a half a century, I couldn't be any prouder of this team. I couldn't be any prouder of this community. And, Billy Napier, even though he's gone, he's done so much for this program. Now it's time to move forward and keep this momentum going because we want to come back here and win another conference championship.
Saturday's win was Billy Napier's 40th and final win at Louisiana before leaving for his new job at Florida. His successor is familiar to Cajuns fans and players alike. Co-offensive coordinator Michael Desormeaux will be the program's new head coach. Desormeaux is a New Iberia native and an alumnus of UL. He was a quarterback on the Cajuns program from 2005 to 2008. During his junior and senior years, Desormeaux set and tied a host of records, including finishing in the top 20 nationally for most rushing yards by a quarterback. He later played defensive back in the National Football League and in the Canadian Football League. Louisiana Athletics Director Dr. Brian Maggard says Desormeaux is a great coach and a better man. Joining us on the phone right now to discuss the hire is the athletic director for the University of Louisiana, Dr. Brian Maggard. And Dr. Maggard, you mentioned yesterday that Coach Billy Napier recommended him for the job. I imagine that played a huge role in your decision.
Well, good morning, Ian, and first of all, happy Monday to everybody. But yes, there's no doubt that I value highly Coach's opinion and his thoughts and insight, and certainly a endorsement from him goes a long way.
It certainly does, and it's interesting. You were here with us Friday morning, and you played coy. You said that a decision would come by the end of this week, and only 2.5 hours after you were here, you made the offer to Coach Des. What was his reaction when you called him into the office and made that offer to him Friday afternoon?
Well, candidly, he may get after me for saying this, but when I asked him, I told him I had one final question for him. I was sitting across from him in my office, and that's, would you become the next head football coach at the University of Louisiana? He just kind of stared at me. His eyes teared up, stood up, we hugged, and he said yes, emphatically.
For someone like Coach Desormeaux, this is a dream come true. New Iberia native, played quarterback here, as we mentioned, set records, and then went on to be a high school coach, came back to the program as an assistant coach. For him, this means a lot, but for the program as well, this means a ton because a local boy, a local kid, is now leading the Ragin' Cajuns. And as somebody pointed out online, local head coaches have done a good job here. You look at, historically, what Yvette Girard did for softball, followed by the Lotiefs, what Gary Broadhead has done with UL women's basketball, Tony Robichaux, need we say more? Local coaches have a history of doing well here, and Coach Des now has an opportunity to continue that trend. And he's already done so as a recruiter because he's recruited very well in this area.
Yes, there's no doubt. He is a relentless recruiter. That's certainly a box that we always want to check when we make a good coaching hire. And the roots that he has in this great state are just very, very deep. But, really regardless where Mike is from, he was the right man for this job right now, in my opinion. It just happens to be he is a true son of the University of Louisiana, of this state, and I know I'm very excited to watch his leadership moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Maggard, so Mark Pope here. So
yes,
Desormeaux, as he climbed the ladder coaching football, of course we know he was an outstanding quarterback at USL, I believe. Or
no,
was
at
it
UL.
Louisiana?
It was Louisiana
It was
at the time, yep.
University of Louisiana. Okay. So Michael spent 3 years as head coach of Lafayette's Ascension Episcopal School. He took over a program that was 0-9, and then later led them to their first winning season and 8 victories in 2014. And, of course, now AES is a kind of a powerhouse, the Blue Gators, and that's kind of something that Michael Desormeaux built, as it were, being the winning coach that he is.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and I think that body of work just solidified his ability to build, to lead, and to win at a high level. And so, I think most coaches get a start, at the high school level, or many do at least, and when they're successful, particularly in this state, as strong as high school football is, I think that's a great indicator of somebody's potential. But he's a student of the game. He's got a high football acumen. But that man's character, his integrity, and his ability to build relationships and lead people is second to none.
And I'm glad you brought up the Ascension Episcopal tie there, Mark, because for some people, they're thinking this is not the quote-unquote splash hire that they would have expected, that this is someone who doesn't have college head coaching experience. But for the Ragin' Cajuns in this program, it's more than about experience. It's more than about being a splash hire. It's about the intangibles someone brings. You mentioned a few of them just a second ago, but can you elaborate more on the intangibles that Coach Des brings? What does he bring to the table that made him so attractive?
Well, first and foremost, to a man, every football student athlete that I had the chance to meet with just solidified the fact that he builds great relationships with that locker room. Whether they're on offense, defense, or special teams, Mike Desormeaux just has this innate ability to connect with people. And that's something that's critically important, I think, in that position, because I'm a firm believer if you can build a great relationship with a young man or a young woman, depending on what sport you coach, you can get them to run through a wall for you, regardless of their talent and their ability. So the ability to build those relationships was critical, and it's apparently evident that Mike Desormeaux has the relationships in that locker room that we need to continue this success. In addition to that, and this just happened to kind of be coincidental, right? I wasn't necessarily looking for this, but he and Coach Napier are very similar, just in their dispositions, in their thoughtfulness, in their intelligence, in their humility, integrity, and character. And so those are other traits that certainly, I think is going to bode well for Mike Desormeaux and allow him to be a fantastic head football coach at his university, at our university.
Mm-hmm. And the local connection is worth noting because a lot of folks, you don't hear the word, the name, Michael Desormeaux, through the years, although he has been with various programs, football programs through the years. But back to a student athlete at Catholic High of New Iberia, where they won 3 state Class 3A playoff appearances, 3 games there, and 3 state district championships. So the man is a winner. And then you go to his days at UL Lafayette, where he had some recognitions and he graduated. We forget how difficult it is to be a student athlete. So Michael Desormeaux graduated in December 2008 with a cumulative grade point average of 3.91. So there's an indication of his intelligence, his dedication, and his work ethic. And I think that all bodes well for the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns.
Oh, without a doubt. He's extremely cerebral. a very smart individual, not just from a football standpoint, but I think life and in general. He was inducted into the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame as a scholar athlete. And so, it's just, Mike Desormeaux is kind of, that uncommon name that you just referenced, but I don't think it's going to last too long here. He's
right.
going to be somebody who becomes, I think, very well known as a head coach of a top 25 program. Certainly our goal is to maintain that top 25 status, and we're going to continue to support Mike from a resource standpoint, just like we did Billy, and I look forward to much more success in the days to come.